Anna Mariah Mo Wilson was a professional cyclist, one of the fastest women in the world on two wheels. In May of 2022, she was staying with a friend named Kaitlin Cash in Texas before a big race. While she was there, she also spent some time with a man named Colin Strickland, who is also a competitive cyclist. At the time, Colin was living with his girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong. On May 11th, Colin picked up Mo on his motorcycle and they went swimming. Later that night, Mo was found by her friend Kaitlin Cash dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Police interviewed Colin Strickland, Kaitlin Cash, and Kaitlin Armstrong. They have filed murder charges, and tonight they are searching for an alleged killer who has fled Texas. Tonight, we take a look at the suspect, the motive, and the nationwide search for a fugitive.
I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and we're going to dive deep into this story. It's incredibly tragic, but it is still an active investigation and a search for an alleged killer. I want to begin tonight. You know, if you've been watching me for years, that when I was growing up, addicted to not court TV, crime shows, cop shows, detective shows. And one thing was always very common, right? When the detectives are investigating the case and you're trying to figure it out, the other detectives are like, what's your motive? What's your motive? What do you got for a motive here? It's such an important question. And when I got to court TV and started covering trials around the country, two things about motive. One, I know as a prosecutor, you don't have to prove it, right? But it's so important. It is so important, a motive, because it uncovers so much about a case, right? You're trying to figure out, well, who would want this person dead? Why would they want them dead? And you've got to peel back the layers of their lives to figure out exactly what was going on. Who are the people connected to the victim? And do they have a reason for taking that life? Now, there are classic motives that we see all the time. The first one, it's all about the Benjamins, right? We're talking about money. Money is a motive. Seen it many times on court TV, whether it's an insurance policy, business partners, or just a plain robbery. The motivation for the murder was monetary, to get your hands on some money. And it's an old motive, but it's very persuasive inside a courtroom. Extremely persuasive and very common. The other one, even more common here on court TV. It's all about relationships. And someone is cheating on someone. And that cheating heart breaks another heart, and someone lashes out. Sometimes the person who is cheating is the one who has to, okay, I'm in the middle of all of this. I've got to get rid of one because I want to be with the other. Sometimes it's the person who's being cheated on that gets angry and bitter and may go after the lover or may go after their own spouse or partner. Seen it so many times on court TV. It's an old motive. Again, extremely persuasive in the courtroom because people understand it, they can relate to it, and we've seen it so many times. And as we begin tonight talking about what happened to Mo Wilson, let's talk about this love triangle that was taking place. You've got three people involved, right? You've got the murder victim, Mo Wilson. You've got Kaitlin Armstrong, who has a boyfriend named Colin Strickland. And is Colin connected to both women? Yeah, well, he's Kaitlin's boyfriend, but he also had a relationship with the victim here. Talk about motive. Talk about a reason for taking another life. Not that it's a justification, but it's to get you inside the mind of a killer and try to prove that someone had a reason to commit the murder, had opportunity to do it, and you've got the evidence to back it up. So let's learn a little bit more about this story. Joy Lim Nakrin, Court TV legal correspondent, has the story for us tonight.
Nice work, guys. Come on.
These cyclists working their way up the hill are participating in Gravel Locos, a 150-mile gravel bike ride located 2 hours outside of Austin, is where Anna Mariah Wilson was headed on May 14th.
After just 2 seasons, she rose to the top of both mountain and gravel racing in the nation.
She had kind of just started being at the top level, and at 25 years old, for sure, her career was just getting started.
But that promising future was cut short. Mariah Wilson was found shot to death a few days before that race.
On May 11, 2022, Mariah passed away in Austin, Texas, while she prepared to compete in the Gravel Locos bike race.
Now cyclists have gathered to remember the rising star, holding a short ride in her honor. According to court documents, officers responded to a residence where Wilson was observed lying on the bathroom floor, covered in blood. She was later pronounced dead. Investigators think she may have been the victim of a jealous rival. Wilson had dated pro cyclist Colin Strickland, who, according to Wilson's friend, had an on-again, off-again relationship with another cyclist, Kaitlin Armstrong. Police reports state that Armstrong had discovered Strickland was having a romantic relationship with Wilson, even though Armstrong and Strickland were still dating. Armstrong was so angry, Armstrong wanted to kill Wilson. Strickland, in a statement to an Austin American-Statesman reporter, said he only dated Wilson a week or so before he and Kaitlin reconciled their relationship, though he says he continued to see Mo at cycling events and in public settings. Armstrong, who was interviewed by police, rolled her eyes in an angry manner at this. On the day of Wilson's death, Strickland confirmed they were together swimming at a local pool and later grabbed a bite to eat. Armstrong, on the other hand, was not seen with Wilson that day, but the car she drives, a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee, was captured on surveillance footage at the house where Wilson was staying. In her police interview, Armstrong made no effort to deny this and provided no explanation as to why her vehicle was there. Partway through this interview, Armstrong requested to leave and was allowed to do so. The suggestion that Wilson may have been part of a love triangle prompted the family to state that she was not in a relationship at the time of her death, but that has not stopped investigators from charging Armstrong with first-degree murder.
We're here today to say that the violence that took the life of Mo was not okay, and we are not okay.
Armstrong is considered a fugitive and is wanted by police. U.S. Marshals have tracked her movements from Austin to Houston to New York and are still looking to confirm her location.
We're searching to find out where did she go when she landed in New York. From that point is the unknown right now.
Her father has not heard from her, but still believes her innocence.
We would like to be left to be able to focus on Kaitlin's safety and proving her innocence.
Love triangle. That's what we're talking about here. And you've got a suspect, someone investigators believe is responsible for this murder, who has fled. We're going to talk about the search a little bit later in the program, but I want to begin on what happened in Texas. So I'm going to bring in Court TV field producer Adrian Luis, who is joining us tonight live from Los Angeles, California, who was on the ground taking a look at everything in this case. Great to see you, Adrian. Off the top, I wanted to focus on these relationships because I think it's really the key to understanding this case and understanding the evidence and everything else. I was reading the affidavit and application for arrest warrant. I want to put it up on the screen because I think it's pretty significant when it talks about Colin Strickland, the man in the middle of this triangle. Strickland advised he currently lives with his girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong. Strickland stated they had been dating for approximately 3 years, but briefly ended their relationship for 1 to 2 weeks, just 1 to 2 weeks, in October of 2021. During Armstrong and Strickland's breakup, he met the victim, Mo Wilson. Wilson and Strickland then had a romantic relationship before Strickland ultimately began dating Armstrong again. Okay, Adrian, this sounds just a little bit too much like Ross on Friends, that they were on a break when all this happened. What were you able to find out about the relationship and how truthful folks think Colin Strickland is being about the nature of his relationship with the victim here?
Well, Vinny, according to that same affidavit for an arrest warrant, you'll also see that an anonymous caller called into police and talked about what Kaitlin had told them back in January, and that was that she had received information that Colin was in fact not just seeing herself, but was seeing Mo at the same time. And this anonymous caller went on to say that this infuriated Kaitlin and caused her to state that she was going to kill Mo.
So what you're saying is, while Colin is back with Kaitlin Armstrong, she finds out and suspects that something is going on. Now, Mo Wilson she lives in San Francisco, doesn't she? I mean, she's not from the same place. So this is, how much time do we think that they could have potentially been spending together, Anna Mariah Wilson, also known as Mo, and Colin, if they're living in different places?
Well, Colin stated that he had seen Mo in public settings. He had also stated to police that when he was seeing Mo for about a week or so, this was back in October or November of 2021. And then when Kaitlin, according to this anonymous caller, had found out about his relationship with Mo back in January of this year, it seemed to have continued up until May of this year when Mo was found shot to death in a residence in Austin, Texas.
We have a statement here from Colin Strickland I want to show everyone from reporter Tony Platetsky. After our brief relationship in October of 2021, we were not in a romantic relationship, only a platonic and professional one. It was not my intention to pursue along an auxiliary romantic relationship that would mislead anyone. Now, I want to put up on the screen something else from the application for the arrest warrant and the affidavit, which really is interesting when you put it in context with the statement from Colin saying that he doesn't want to mislead anyone. Strickland advised he stopped his motorcycle and sent a text message from his phone to Armstrong at 8:36. This text message stated the following, and this he's sending to his girlfriend, right? To Kaitlin.
Correct.
Hey, are you out? I went to drop some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north and my phone died. Heading home unless you have another food suggestion. He basically lied about his whereabouts to Armstrong to hide that he was actually with Wilson. So while he's not misleading anyone, he's misleading Kaitlin.
And Vinny, this actually plays into the timeline of things where when he was texting Kaitlin, he was on his way home. And then after he arrived home, Kaitlin arrived home after him, but it was her 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee that seemed to be spotted at the residence that Mo was staying at that time.
So he drops her off. It's a motorcycle date, right? Picked her up on the motorcycle?
Yes.
Drops her off, and then I guess he's got to pull over to the side of the road, do a little texting to the girlfriend that I live with to try to cover my tracks. Oh yeah, my phone died. There's a lot of problems here with, you're investigating a case, you need everyone to kind of tell the truth about what's really happening, and I don't know if that's necessarily happening. Adrian, you were there. How did this impact the community and the families? I mean, this is a horrible murder.
Well, the Austin cycling community is certainly a very, very tight-knit community, Vinny. They seem to all hang out at the same spots, attend the same races, and really encourage each other to get better at their craft. And upon hearing about Mo Wilson's death, they put together a short community ride and memorial to memorialize her. And at this memorial, they certainly spoke about her achievements in the gravel racing scene and how she was on her way to becoming one of the best cyclists in the country. And then they put together a short ride that ended up at the pool where she was last spotted with Colin Strickland.
And when you were on the ground there in Texas, was there anything that really surprised you or you're like, wow, how about that? I wasn't expecting that.
Sure. It was not on my radar that the Austin cycling scene was such a big deal in the country. It is where Lance Armstrong is based, and that's where nearby where he grew up. And he also started a local bike shop and cafe where cyclists would attend. It is certainly. Also, Austin is a beautiful place for cyclists to ride. There are various terrains that they can, cover. And I guess going back to what I said before, the cycling community is so welcoming and so encouraging, and that is what has allowed it to grow so much in Austin.
Final question, because everybody's thinking it right now. You just said the name Lance Armstrong. The suspect in this case, Kaitlin Armstrong, both cyclists. Is there any connection between those two?
Not that I'm aware of, Vinny.
Okay. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure. Adrian, Luis, thank you so much. Great to see you. Thank you for that reporting. I want to bring in our next guest. Joining us in Middlebury, Vermont, is the editor of Vermont Sports and Vermont Ski and Ride magazine. Lisa Lynn is with us tonight. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. You're in Vermont. What is the connection here? And I want to talk about the victim in the case. What's her connection to Vermont?
So Mariah Wilson was a Vermonter through and through. She grew up in the Northeast Kingdom, which is a beautiful rural area, northeast corner of Vermont, bordering on Canada. Her father taught at the Burke Mountain Academy. He was a former Olympic caliber ski racer. He raced on the World Cup and probably could have gone to the Olympics. She grew up in just this outdoorsy, very tight community. There were only about 2,000 residents in Burke. And it's also home to Kingdom Trails, which are fantastic mountain biking trails. And those were her playground. That's her with her bike when she was 7 years old. And she and her brother Matt would go out and ride the trails. And they would also, train and compete in skiing. In fact, she was an extremely good ski racer. And in high school was, I think, third in the nationals. And she probably could have gone on to be an even better ski racer, but she suffered 2 ACL injuries. Still, she was very determined. I talked to one of her coaches for our story in Vermont Sports magazine, and he said that he would take his kids, boys and girls, out for training rides, and Mo would outpace him and most of the boys.
Unbelievable photographs that we have that you're sharing. Let me ask you, Lisa, how's her family doing? The prime of your life, she's, just doing so much and really on her way to great things. How are they holding up these days?
I think it's just been an incredible blow to all of them. And I must say the one thing which I really took away from speaking with her family was that she really was the product of amazing upbringing. Her parents really encouraged her. I think, she went to Dartmouth, she graduated with an engineering degree, and she said to her mom, I want to go be a professional cyclist. At the time, she had not been competing. It's a little bit like somebody saying, I've been running 10Ks and I want to go out for the Olympic marathon. And her mother, Karen Wilson, to her credit, said, great, I believe in you, I'm supporting you, and I'm connecting you with a coach. And literally 2 years later, Mariah Wilson was close to the top of the world in terms of gravel riding. Again, it's sort of like somebody running 10Ks and then jumping in and winning the New York Marathon.
Using that term, what exactly is it a different type of bike riding? Can you describe it for the folks at home? And for me, please?
Mariah was very good at pretty much every sport. She grew up mountain biking, which is basically, taking big knobby tires and going off-road on all sorts of technical trails. And she was also getting to the top of what's become a very competitive arena, which is called gravel riding. And gravel riding can be anything from riding, gravel roads to really riding very tough off-road conditions. And the races she was competing in were 100 miles or longer. They often involve crossing streams, going up mountains, coming down very loose dirt and gravel and rocks. And she just had an unbelievable endurance. I think she first rose to prominence when she was second in the Leadville 100. That's a 100-mile mountain bike race in Colorado.
Really an amazing, amazing young woman. We talk about Dartmouth Engineering School, and oh, I want to be a professional cyclist, and boom, she's a professional cyclist doing amazingly. An incredible loss for...
She was also just a nice person.
Of course, of course.
One of the things that struck me was after one of the races that she did, I'm sorry.
We have a little delay, but go ahead.
After one of the races that she did, she finished second, and she came back after showering and waited for the very last racer to finish at 11:30 p.m. at night.
Amazing. Lisa Lynn, editor of Vermont Sports Magazine, appreciate your time tonight. Great reporting on this, and we'll keep in touch because we're going to stay on top of this story because there is still a suspect on the loose that needs to be brought to justice. Thank you so much. When we come back, folks, we're going to take you to the scene. We're going to take a look at the evidence. We're going to bring in our investigators. Do they have enough to prove that Kaitlin Armstrong is responsible? How does it all line up? What is the timeline? You'll find out when we come back.
Where your hard work pays off.
We're here in memory of Mo Wilson, a professional gravel and mountain bike racer. She had kind of just started being at the top level, and at 25 years old, for sure, her career was just getting started. So it's so tragic for her to be taken from us so early in her life like that.
That was one of the cyclists at the memorial for Mo Wilson, who was gunned down. Now, investigators suspect her friend's girlfriend, and again, the exact nature, or maybe it's her ex, boyfriend's girlfriend, however you want to say it. There was some sort of love triangle going on here. What I want to do is walk through the timeline here so you have a better idea of what happened at exactly what point, because investigators released a lot of this information. We went through the court documents, the affidavits, etc. So let's begin. May 11th, 2022, 5:45 p.m. Colin Strickland, the man in the middle of the triangle, the love triangle, says that he picked up Mo Wilson, the victim, from Cash's house. Cash is Mo Wilson's friend that she was staying with. Her first name is also Kaitlin. 10 minutes later, Kaitlin Cash receives an electronic door notification that the door is locked. So we believe that is the time that Mo leaves with Colin on his motorcycle. 8:16 p.m., Strickland and Wilson, Colin and Mo, leave the parking lot of Pool Burger on Strickland's motorcycle. So Colin's got the motorcycle, Mo is with him. 8:16, they're leaving after having a burger, after going swimming. 10 minutes later, Kaitlin Armstrong, again, this is Colin's live-in girlfriend. Her vehicle drives northbound on Maple Avenue and then westbound on East 18th Street. 9 minutes later, Colin Strickland on his motorcycle drives northbound through the alleyway north of East 18th Street. Now the key times, 8:36. The unique code given to Wilson is used to unlock Cash's door. That means Mo Wilson has now made it back to the house that she is staying at 8:36. A minute after Strickland drives northbound through an alleyway. 8:37, 1 minute later, Kaitlin Armstrong's vehicle appears to stop at Kaitlin Cash's residence. That is the home where Mo Wilson was staying, where she had just been dropped off minutes before minutes before by Kaitlin's boyfriend, Colin. Let me bring in tonight's guest to help work through some of the evidence in this case. Joining me in Atlanta, Georgia, former special agent in charge from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall. In Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen. And in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist Dr. Carol Lieberman. Before I get to my investigators, Dr. Carol Lieberman, talk to me about jealousy, about cheating, and how we go from that to a potential motive for murder.
Well, at the center of this, and I actually thought about the Friends episode as well, but he is a lot more, much more of a liar, whereas Ross wasn't. He was just kind of caught in a bad situation. But Colin is obviously in the middle of this. He lied to both of the women at different times. He lied to Kaitlin that night, talking about he was going to bring somebody flowers and so on, and his phone supposedly died, although then he texted her, so that didn't make any sense. And she apparently didn't trust him. I mean, she had found out earlier that he had seen Mo, and she didn't believe him that night. So she must have been following them, or else she couldn't have gotten to the house a minute later. You know, that's not a coincidence that she was there 1 minute later. And then poor Mo, first of all, I think that Colin is trying to sort of minimize what their relationship was. You know, oh, it was only for a week, and then, then after that it was platonic. Well, clearly Mo didn't think it was platonic, and I know that her family gave this statement and saying that she really wasn't in a relationship, but she, from her texts, apparently she thought she was. So he was juggling both of these women at the same time. And as often happens, although unfortunately not often murder, but the two women, came in clashed, had a clash, and Kaitlin was, trying to. I mean, one of the interesting things is that there were multiple gunshots. So she was really angry. Now, she had been in a relationship with him for 3 years before this. And then they had their break, and then, and then Mo went back to California, and then when he saw her again, so he was seeing her, he saw her at cycling events. He was continuing. I don't believe that it was just platonic. He was continuing a relationship all along, and Kaitlin suspected that. So, because that just shows all the fury, all of these multiple gunshot wounds.
Absolutely. Trebor Randall, getting back to the timeline now. Dr. Carol Lieberman makes a great point. Do you think that day that it is possible that Kaitlin Armstrong was following Colin and Mo on that motorcycle, or is there some other way that she could suddenly, or her vehicle suddenly show up just like a minute or two after she gets home?
I think there's a strong chance that they were being followed without knowing it. Certainly in this day and age, regular civilians have gotten wind to all these different devices you can use now to track your family members' movement. Most of the time, the products are marketed for legitimate reasons, but oftentimes they're used in cases like this where you have the jealous lover, if you will, or worse, someone who may be a sexual predator. But I certainly think she knew exactly what was going on, and unfortunately, she was just waiting for the right moment to take action. We've seen this any number of times when you have these, sort of love triangles, we call them, that go sideways. I would venture to say it probably wasn't the first time something like this had happened, that she even had a need to feel like she wanted to follow them or follow her boyfriend to see if he was being faithful to her.
Jason Jensen, I want to put something else up on the screen here from the affidavit for probable cause involving firearms. Another big piece of the evidence in this case. Strickland, again, Colin Strickland, admitted to purchasing 2 firearms approximately between December of 2021 and January of 2022. That is after this little we were on a break moment, right? One for himself and one for his live-in girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong. Strickland advised that he purchased a Springfield Armory handgun for himself and a Sig Sauer handgun for Armstrong. Sig Sauer P360. I know nothing about guns, by the way, so I may be not pronouncing this correctly, but the Sig Sauer P365 9mm belonging to Armstrong, which was recovered from Strickland's residence, was test-fired using laboratory ammunition. The fired test cartridge was compared microscopically to the shell cases located next to the body. An investigative lead was developed through the correlation review of ballistic evidence. The potential that the same firearm was involved is significant. So, Jason Jensen, here's where I want to leave this. You've got the gun, but whose hand was it in? Was it in Colin's hand or was it in Kaitlin? If this is the weapon, I mean, he bought it. He said he bought it for her, but that's based upon what he's saying.
Right, yeah. I mean, definitely both had access to those guns. Certainly, Strickland is familiar with the Sig Sauer, so you have to ask yourself, from a defense perspective, was this a weapon fired by Armstrong, or was it fired by Strickland? And is this an attempt to blame Armstrong for the murder where Strickland could have been guilty of it? But it seems like all the other evidence seems to be piling up on Armstrong otherwise, because she had a clear opportunity to explain why her Jeep was there and some other significant situations, and she refused to answer. So it definitely sounds like she's hiding, failing to reveal some innocent reason why her Jeep was at the residence. And we do know Strickland was operating his motorcycle, so chances are he wasn't driving a motorcycle and trying to drive a Jeep at the same time.
Yeah, and another big aspect of all of this, she fled. She's in the wind. She is wanted tonight. I want to thank Dr. Carol Lieberman for helping us out tonight. We'll see you again real soon. Trebor, Jason Jensen staying with us as we take a look next at the search for Kaitlin Armstrong. Plus, coming up next hour.
In New York, Amber Heard sits down for her first interview since losing her trial to Johnny Depp. In part of that interview released today, Amber Heard talks about the jury who didn't believe her when she testified.
And I thought he was punching me. I felt this pressure.
Tonight, we take a look at Amber's reaction to the jury who awarded Johnny Depp $15 million.